do want to get a little bit more um, participation so we can take some real life um, celebrations and obstacles and, coach you guys through it collaboratively with everybody on here too. A lot of times we are a little bit on the shy side and we don't want to share, but I promise you, your ability to share and like open up a little bit is a lot of times what you guys need to be able to just see a different perspective of it, to see it from the outside. Sometimes we just keep it bottled in so much that we're always fighting internally to uh, try and do it ourselves, when maybe a friend, maybe a coach, maybe a teammate, um, maybe just an acquaintance, maybe somebody you haven't talked to for a long time, they're the ones that has the answer that you're looking for. Maybe they've gone through what you've gone through, so they can give it to you in a different terms that maybe a coach can give you, or maybe a coach can give you in a different terms that maybe a parent or a teammate might be able to give you, right? It's always finding different perspectives around, the situation that you're dealing with to get through it faster and, with more fulfillment, right? And on the other side is we often get too shy to, share any celebrations that we might have for the week or anything that happens. And, we oftentimes think that maybe it wasn't big enough to share with everybody, but you should be comfortable sharing anything, because think about it from the other side. Your success that you achieve could be the one thing that a friend or a teammate is dealing with at that moment, right? And your ability to share your success in anything that you do, as small as you think it might be, is going to give them that leeway to break through their obstacles, right? Even if they don't tell you directly that helped me, right? Just having them hear that, oh, you just got through that, and as small as that you may think it is, may be hugely, hugely important to that person, right? So share your celebrations, but what it also does, it conditions you to not wait for the big thing that you want to celebrate. Celebrate all the little things along the way, because at the end, what you're trying to do and what you want to do is you want to just be able to gain momentum. You want to be able to gain positive things and know that you're moving in the right direction. And if you're celebrating the little things, it's just a reminder service that doesn't matter how small it may have felt, you still move forward. And the better you get at making these small little incremental wins, they all add up in the end to get you to where you need to get to faster. So, don't discount the wins that you get. All right, so we'll jump in there. So looks like we've got everybody in here this evening. Raise your guys' hands if you guys have questions. I'm gonna call on certain people just as we go. Tonight we're going over our coaching session on optimization. It's just how to make yourself better constantly. And we're doing it in basically in a time where our resources are a lot limited. And it really doesn't matter what time you're in, but in this situation, we are limited to the amount of golf we can play. We are limited to where we can go golf, or being able, some of us aren't able to get on golf courses. Some of us can't get to driving ranges. Some of us may not have a big yard to practice in. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. But just because our resources may be limited doesn't mean we can't have the fact of, we can't find a way to be resourceful and figure out ways to get ourselves better. So it doesn't matter what situation we're in. We can always find ways to measure and get ourselves better. Sometimes we have to change the type of metrics that we're looking at in order to move through and get to the next level, right? We have to change and be able to adjust with the environment and circumstances that we're in, because if we're going with what used to work, sometimes they stop working. Sometimes we grow out of the tools and strategies that we currently have, and we have to find new ones to be able to measure us to the next level. So always remember that whatever tools, whatever strategies, whatever mindset, whatever you know now, that is basically what got you to the point in your career and in your life at this moment right now. Um, doesn't mean that they won't work, but you just have to know that everything that you know, everything that you've done, everything that you're implementing has got you to where you're at. But you also have to know if you want to get to the next level, some of them you are still growing into, and you have to know what tools they are, what strategies are you still growing into, so you can continue to push through those. But you also have to know what strategies, tools have you outgrown, so you stop wasting the resource that you have, which is your time, onto the things that aren't going to get you further along your path to where you want to get to. A few things I want you guys to get out of today is, I want you to understand that every day you should be thriving to grow. You know, it's never just to maintain where I'm at. Because the day you kind of figure out, I just got to maintain my skills, or I'm going to be on vacation, I'm going to be out, I can't play golf for the next month, I can't do this. What can I do to maintain where I'm at? That question alone makes you move backwards, because there's really nothing you really do to just maintain where you're at, right? If you're going to be spending any time, it should be spending time to take you guys forward, take you guys to the next level. Asking yourself the questions like, how can I build constant improvement towards the success that I want and be totally fulfilled along the way? You know, it's always finding the clarity that you need to know where you're at this current moment, so you know when you're going forward or when you're moving backward, right? Without that clarity of where you're at in this like specific time right now, this specific situation, or like today, if you don't know, if you like, today is the evening already, so if you don't know if you've moved forward from the start of this day to the end of the day, right, that's a problem that we have. Because if you don't know if you move forward, or if you don't even know you move backwards, then what do we have set up for tomorrow, right? Then we'll go through the same process and finish the day, and we're not quite sure, right? And you want to be able to get yourself in a situation where you fuel the momentum that you gain for the day. If you say like, oh, I got this success, I moved this far forward, what can you do tomorrow to make it go faster, right? Or we don't always move forward every day, right? Some days we go backwards, but if you have that clarity to say like, oh, today was a little bit more rough, I got distracted, I didn't get this out of it, I wasted some time here, and you move backwards, right? How important would it be for us to be able to shift at the end of each day, so tomorrow we don't go backwards anymore, right? We do different things so we don't go backwards. So, you know, a couple of things that I want you guys to think about, especially like now, is, you know, how many of you are home right now, you know, and you're just bored out of your minds just because we can't get outside, right? You know, that's probably a question that goes on with everybody, right? I know I've thought of it too in some circumstances. You know, how many wish you could be out on the driving range, hitting golf balls, right? Playing golf, playing 9 holes, walking, right? Some of us love to ride, but now we think, and we kind of dread walking on the golf course. But how nice knowing that in this time, we don't have that much opportunity to play golf. And how nice would it be to be walking on a extra slow round, right? One of those 5 to 5.5 hour, 6 hour tournament days that you might have gone through, where some days you're like, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it was so slow today, and you know, I couldn't focus. But it's all about perspective, because how many of you, like how many of us, I wish I could be in that day today to have that 6 hour round that took forever, being on the golf course, walking, you know, with friends or peers playing golf for 6 hours, even if it took a long time, right? Same things happen, but we interpret it differently depending on the perspective that we're looking at, right? Some of you may dread school and like, oh my gosh, school is so hard. But how many of you wish we could be back in school right now, right? Walking around campus, seeing our teachers at school, seeing our friends, right? Socializing, right? Just a different perspective to be looking at it, right? We value things differently, and depending on, how we're looking at it. Um, we might even be in a bit of shock of what's going on around in the world around us, right? That some of us are in the house most of the day and we're not outside, and we just don't know. It's so much uncertainty out there, and it makes us nervous, right? To figure out, like, what am I doing tomorrow? What am I going to do later today? How long is this going to last? Right. But also think about how many of you on this call are actually searching for the opportunities that are coming out of, what's been given to you in the circumstance that we have today, right? Today, definitely a little bit more drastic than normal than it was even 2 weeks ago. But how many times just, in any time before 2 weeks ago, or anything that might happen in the future, how many times that, we give a circumstance, whether it's just a round of golf and we played with somebody that we didn't want playing with because maybe they talked too much, they talked in your swing, maybe, they bothered us, and we just got irritated in that round, and we kind of gave us that story to look at, oh, that's why I played so rough, because of things that we couldn't really control, and we let those dictate, the result that we got for the end of the day, as opposed to, what opportunity could I have gained given the situation that's presented for me today, right? And so all we have today, right, is just another situation that gets presented to us. And sometimes it's a little bit more difficult than others, but we have to, like, dive in and dig deep to see, like, what opportunities can I pull out? What can I pull out of today that'll make me stronger, that'll make me better in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, a year, whenever. I mean, we don't know when things will get back to normal, if they ever will. But we can definitely do things in our control to make ourselves the most prepared and get ourselves, running through the gates once we get back to what we want to do, be able to play golf, be able to get to school, be able to hang out with our friends. Some of the opportunities that, I've pulled out just from what's going on, it's, we take for granted the relationships that we have, being able to see everybody. And, I remember certain times where, like, I'm not big on FaceTime and, like, selfies, and every time somebody wants to FaceTime, like, I'm kind of like, who should I get that? Whereas now it's like, oh my gosh, they want to do, like, a FaceTime, of course. And I'm the one FaceTiming everybody else, right? So some of, like, the big opportunities that I'm finding off of this, it brought me closer with relationship with, my family, my friends, FaceTiming, texting them all the time. The relationships in the past that I might have took for granted, I'm reaching out constantly, right? Calls with my parents and my siblings are a lot more frequently. I talk to them, if not daily, I talk to them every other day, right? And something that we didn't have before. And, other than what happened, right, it got me to build a relationship in the last week, tons better and closer than it's ever been. I guess a story that I always told myself is, like, I'm kind of ashamed, right, getting in front of camera and doing selfies like this and, like, posting stuff on there, but circumstances change, right? And we don't have that, and at least right now we don't have that opportunity to meet up with our students, meet up with our friends, to see them face to face. So I have to learn, I have to adapt, right? I had to learn how to use Facebook in the last few days, and I had to learn really fast because I want to still connect with, all of our closest friends, all of our students that we've built relationships with over the year. How can I still deliver all this content to everybody? Even if I've never really used Facebook before, I had one, but I was never present on that thing. I never used it, but, it's something that a lot of us have. And how easy and how much more frequent now can I get it? If I just come up here, shoot a little video, see how everybody's doing, post that, ask for comments, then put this thing on a little tripod that we have. You know, we have a phone tripod that we bought several months ago, maybe like 6 months ago, 5 months ago, and it's never been used until this past week. And now it's probably being overused. I'm popping that thing every single day and shooting these little videos, where 2 weeks ago I had a belief that, you know, I'd be nervous shooting these videos and being judged. Right now, it really doesn't matter, right? If I can get some content out there that, you know, gets people and gets our students, gets our families out to enjoy what's outside, swing the golf club, keep something frequent, right? Then it's all worth it. Then it really doesn't matter what I look like, what I sound like, right? But I'm getting to have to learn this new technologies. Is it easy? It's not. I've spent tons of hours on YouTube figuring out, like, how do I do this, right? Getting stuck. Other families may have questions on how to do it, and I don't have that answer on how do you sign up if you're getting stuck and they won't let you in, right? But I'm definitely spending some time on YouTube and Google trying to figure it out, and reaching out to some friends to say, like, if we're getting this error message of people trying to get in, what, you know, how do they get in, right? So everybody can access all of this stuff. So definitely, you just gotta, you have to be clear on what you're trying to get out of it. So the number one value that you all should have is just clarity. We, you know, if you've listened to me before, I talk about this a lot. You have to have tremendous clarity on what you want. If you're unclear, then you're just going to be lost in the woods, right? When you're lost in the woods, or if you're deep in the woods, you need that map to get back out. And if you're not clear on where you want to get to, right, then it's going to be a really, really big struggle for you to find your way back to where you hope or where you think you should be. If you're crystal clear, right, then it's so easy to navigate when you're lost. You know, a few things that we're super clear about right now that allows us to get, and I kind of shared a little bit already with you guys, but a few things that we're super clear now is, you know, all of this virtual coaching and training, you know, it's stuff that we put into place back in September, right? 7 months ago, right? We've been doing some of this virtual coaching, virtual trainings, right? And it wasn't like, we had no idea that we'll be in the circumstance that we have now, but we knew it was a way for us to connect with our students more frequently than just seeing them live at the golf course, and tapping into their, tapping in to teach you guys some strategies, some mindsets when you don't have the emotion of hitting the golf ball, right? When the golf ball gets in the way, right? Our emotions get involved where we think, you know, it shouldn't be the way it is and we can do it. But when we're away, we're a lot more clear, and we can learn strategies and tools outside of emotion, and then at least have that understanding. So then when the scenarios come up, right, you can then attack it with a strategy that you know, right? And that's what we were super clear about. We're super clear as how can we meet with them, our students, more frequently, right? Something that, and get them where we can talk to them off of the golf course so we can make bigger impact and get them to understand deeper level strategy, mindset, and tools. So when they come across things, when emotion does come in, right, it's something that it's planted already, and they can move forward and have, and not be lost, right? And right, so if we look at, was it worth it? Of course, because now we're forced to be doing this, and having been put, I don't even know how many 30 plus hours of content doing this virtual training, makes me extremely comfortable on here, where I can open up with you guys a lot more, be a lot more transparent. Whereas I remember those first several that we did, I'm super nervous. I'm like shaking a little bit, and I'm stuttering a lot more. And now I can talk to you guys, and a lot of times I just get carried away talking because I'm so comfortable now, right? But you know, the one thing, I'm still nervous getting on every single night because of the initial fear that I always had 7 months ago. But I've been doing it for so long, right? And it's not even so long. It's maybe 30 or 40 hours worth of content that I've been on here. It gives me a comfort, but the nervousness that I get is still the same every single time. I'm super nervous to get on. I have to jump up and down. I have to shout in the bathroom. Seiko is upstairs in the room, probably laughing of the sounds that I have to make to be able to come on here comfortably and get it to you guys. You know, what else was I super clear on? Is, you know, being able to learn whatever necessary tools we needed to impact all of you guys on here, right? So again, as we talked about earlier, learning, you know, YouTube. I never knew how to use YouTube, you know, or I never knew how to use Instagram, and I'm learning how to do that now, right? I never knew how to use Facebook. I'm learning that now, right? And so I'm diving with all of this time that I have. I'm not just sitting down and being stuck and telling myself, you know, I wish things would be better, right? It's like, given this opportunity where I'm in the house all day, how can I still spend time with my family, but how else can I still deliver the most amount of value to all of you guys to make sure you guys come out on top and come out better than when you entered, right? It's never, again, it's never going back into maintain. It's always growing every single day. So as I bring this back towards you guys, right? How clear are you on what you guys want right now in your lives, right? Do you guys have a super clear target outcome that you guys are shooting for, right? And that's kind of what I want you to think about. So I'll give you guys like 30 seconds because I do want you guys to kind of share, and I'll call one person here, something that you might be super clear on. And I see Chloe. I'm going to call on Chloe this evening. Chloe, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
All right. Well, we'll see your name on screen, so give me a second. Actually, it's not letting me spot you here. It's okay. You can look at me as you talk. So Chloe,
Okay.
so for you, just in general, on what are you super clear on like today that is helping you get through, you know, whatever it is that you want to get to?
That's hard to think about, but I would say one thing I'm clear on with like regarding school and stuff, because it's kind of been like a hard time to adjust and stuff. I'm just doing everything I can, like I feel like the way I need to get a good grade and stuff like that, I just have to do whatever I can to stay updated with like assignments and anything I see on like the website for school. I just try to follow it as much as I can. If I know that if I need help, I can always like contact my teachers. So as much as like this kind of has been like a hard situation, I just know what I can do to help make my situation the best it can be.
Hey, that's fantastic. And if we kind of break that down a little bit further, you're super, especially for your school, you're super clear on making sure you get the best grades that you want, right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
And what grades are you wanting to get?
I'd like to get all A's if I can, but there's one class that I have a B in, but if I get one B, I'm just trying my best to do my best.
Got it. So you're super clear on the A's that you want to get.
Mm-hmm.
And if you settle with a B, kind of going over what we just kind of discussed in clarity, if you kind of tell yourself that story, you'll do the best that you can, and you have A's in most of the other things. Do you think you'll do the necessary tools or the necessary actions or learn the necessary skills to get that up to an A?
I think so. I don't know. I've also kind of been clear. Like I said, I strive for A's, but I think probably what I meant to say was that I'm clear about doing my best and like accepting the grades I get as long as I do my best. So if that does end up being a B, like I'll be okay with it. But I'm gonna do all the steps I can to make sure that I get the maximum score I can get.
Perfect. And so as we get further deeper in this, we'll kind of go into like our optimization stuff, but you'll always have perspective on your grade, right? So if you see it as a B, you know what you have to do and what you have to change in order to get that to an A, right? You would have to then add in different types of processes, learn different type of things, especially now that even school's in a different situation, right? And you kind of mentioned even to keep up with the A's that you have and make sure they stay in A, you have to learn different things. You have to change some processes, right? You have to adapt,
Mm-hmm.
right? And being super clear on just what you want, right, makes you have to adapt, right? It's not a choice whether should you adapt. You just kind of do it, right? And it's because you're so disciplined on like what you really want, right? And if you really want that B to turn into an A, right, every time you see an update in your grades, right, you're going to see, did that turn to an A? If it didn't, you're going to change the process, do something else, reach out to your teacher a little bit more, right? And you're going to keep on doing that until the year's over. And that's kind of where you kind of left off, where you said, well, if you then get a B going through all of that stuff, then you'll be happy with it because at least you know you've done everything that you could.
Yeah, like I kind of feel like with this, instead of like, because I know a lot of people are very upset about this whole online situation, but I feel like instead of kind of complaining and being upset about the situation, just try to like do all the necessary steps you can to get through it, like reach out to your teachers, you know, look at the updates, and that way it will hopefully make people's lives easier.
Oh, fantastic. Well, that's awesome, Chloe. Keep it up. And thank you
Thank
for.
you.
So thank you, Chloe, for sharing on that aspect. And so that's a really great example. Like Chloe's super clear on her academics. And you can see how she shared stories on just how she's having to shift different things around, and it's not that big of a deal, right? But think about, right, we have different components of our life, right? So academics, we have sports, we have family, we have all these different like things that are happening, right? Look at the things that you're doing super well at, because I promise you the things that you're doing super well, you're super clear. But then also think about, what are the things that you tend to have a hard time? Where do you see the results come a lot slower than where you are? And it's 100% going to be because we're not as clear. And when we're not clear, we're not willing to do like what Chloe had said, the necessary like actions that she needs to take. So look at the success that you have and then take those principles, right? Do the things that you're doing really, really good already and do more of those things, right? Those are the habits that you're looking to implement in all these different areas, right? Don't look at it just in academics. Look at what is the habit that's getting me to do it, right? It's my discipline because I'm so focused on what I want to do. I'm so clear on the outcome that I want to get, right? You're connecting yourself to like why you want that outcome. What is it going to do to you? What is it going to do for you, right? You having good grades, is that going to get you to like in a really, really good school, that your dream school, right? Your attachment. And like those are the little habits that you need. If you're finding that like it's a lot of surface stuff, meaning like I want to shoot really low scores, but you're not taking the action needed, or you're not being resourceful to find the necessary like skills that you need to, and you give yourself the story that, you know, the skills that I have, I just got to do more of it and be more focused on it to get the results. You know, look at the trend of what that gives you, because, you know, a lot of times it's just not seeing where you need to be and connecting yourself to what the result is going to give you on the emotional side, to be able to know that, well, the skills that I have now got me to where I'm at? What are the new skills that I have? Or maybe gets you to see that, you know, these are the skills that I have now that I've learned, but what is the action that I need to take on those skills? Am I going to its full potential on the skills that I know of or that I hear? So thank you. So even, you know, as you can remember a couple weeks ago, you know, when we're at school, when we're basically on autopilot, right? We just showed up and went through the routines and in the motions, right? And again, different parts of our lives, we're on autopilot, different parts are more intentional. But, you know, if you're one of those where, you know, the routine becomes the same over and over and you're on autopilot, then it takes so much of the intention out of what you're doing, right? So when things change, like what we have today, right? If you're on autopilot and you're not intentional on, you know, getting up in the morning, getting ready and studying, practicing, and balancing your entire life out, then when things shift like this and it gets taken away and you can't have the resources that you have, then you get into a panic because your entire life just shifted because it took you off of autopilot, right? We never want to get on autopilot. We always want to be as intentional as possible. You know, think about all the pieces that you need to fall in place when we're on this autopilot mode, right? And we get this interpretation that if I just show up, I'm doing it every single day, I'm in a season and I'm practicing and I'm kind of have it all blocked off in my schedule, right? You're just kind of assuming that they're all going to fall into place. But the moment it goes sideways, then we kind of panic and think, well, why did it go sideways? What should I be doing? I should be looking at a new swing drill, a new putting drill, you know, another swing theory, and start looking at all this tactical stuff when sometimes you just got to get connected to the strategy like that you're shooting for. Like, what is it that you're trying to accomplish? And then you can filter it down to, if my outcome is this, then, you know, what is it in the swing drills that's going to get me closer to that strategy, not as a, like, I'm just not hitting it good, so I'm going to try this one. I'm not hitting it good, I'm going to try this one. I'm not putting good, I'm going to try this different putting stroke, right? You have to know the strategy of, like, when I'm putting my best, when I'm hitting my best, what does that look like? What is it that makes me do this, right? So everything that you put in on the strategy side or on the tactical side in the swing drills goes directly into the strategy that you're looking for, right? Just think, you know, as we talked about a few weeks ago, like, think how much control did you have over your schedule, right? If you were living intentionally and blocking off the time, even though it was the same every day, if you were intentional and looking at it every single day, every single week, and saying, like, I know my school schedule is like this, I know my open blocks look like this, I know when I can practice it looks like this is my practicing, and you're having control over your blocks of time. Just like Chloe in her academics, it's so easy to make the shift. But lots of times when we look at it, you know, some of us in golf, we do it a lot, but we're not intentional in the blocks. We're not driven in, you know, exactly what the outcome of the block of time that we reserve to practice is. And we just go through the motions. And because we're in there and doing it more frequently, yes, we do see some skills go up. We see performances go up, but it's not always the case, right? If you've ever practiced a ton and shot higher scores, and then you started practicing more and the scores went up, right? I've been there. I spent years doing that, right? And it's because, you know, I didn't have, you know, that much grasp on, like, how am I spending my time when I'm practicing? What am I trying to achieve as I finish, right? What's the outcome for the day? So one thing that I want you to start to look at is going back to our schedule. If you haven't really looked at how your day goes, start looking at how your day goes, right? Start taking an audit of just your entire activity for the day, right? You can think about the last 3 days and say, from the moment I got up to the moment I went to sleep, and grab a notebook in your journal and start writing. I woke up at this time and then I did this, and you just start doing an audit of every activity that you had for the day, right? And then you do it for the past 3 days and just see, like, where am I spending my time? What does it look like, right? You'll find things that if you have trouble like accounting for your day, you're going to have things on there that you didn't even realize you were doing, right? But then there's things that you're super excited about, whether if you're in school and you're studying, right? You're going to know exactly when those blocks of time of studying, because in that aspect, you were accountable for that time, right? You knew exactly what you wanted to get out of it. So, take an audit of all the activities that you have in your day. And if you have a hard time remembering the last 3 days, then take the next 3 days, right? Start from tomorrow. When you wake up, as soon as you wake up, right? Start logging in your journal or on a piece of paper the next 3 days, because in 3 days you'll find like your patterns of what's going on for your day, right? So you know exactly what's going on from start to finish. And you'll find many of the patterns that you weren't aware of, and you'll also find many of the patterns that you were aware of, right? And again, going back to, right, the easiest way to start to optimize is implement habits that you have that are making you better in the things that you're already doing. Just do more of those things and find the things that doesn't serve you and doesn't move you anywhere, and start to eliminate those things. If you never know what's in front of you, if you can't like look at a schedule like this and see, like, I woke up at 8, I did this for an hour, right? Then from 9 to 10, I did this, and you kind of see everything in front of you, right? Then you won't know exactly what's making you like progress throughout the day and what's holding you back, right? If you can see it in front of you and you see the patterns of the things that serve you and the things that don't, you can easily circle, like, that one's really good. I'm going to make sure this is everywhere in my life. This one's not. I'm going to make sure every time this pop up, that's going to be one of these triggers that I have. So every time this comes up, I can shift out of it. Just having the awareness of the things that are wasting your time, the things that you're not intentional on, the things that are basically lost moments of your life are the things that you need to eliminate and find out why are those coming up, right? And then, take action to those. So, one of the biggest tools is, everybody, clarity. I can't say it enough. You need to be clear, not just on what you want. Like in this case here, doing an audit of your day is you need to be clear on where you stand today. So, if you know where you stand today, know where you want to be in the future, right? Then all you do is fill the pieces in, you fill the gap in, right? That's your little map to where you want to get to. If you never know where you want to get to, you're going to be super productive. It's going to be like you on a treadmill running full speed and not going anywhere, right? If you don't have a target that you're shooting for. And at the same time, if you don't know where you're currently at, you may be doing skills and development in areas that no longer serve you, or that you're not quite ready for at that time, right? So you need to know exactly where you're at and where you need to get to. So it's easy to filter out the necessary skills and actions that you need to take to move forward. So I'm going to pull another person in this one, and I want you to share with everybody is, if you can, I'll take a volunteer if you guys want to raise your hand. Otherwise, I'm going to call you guys. But who knows and is extremely intentional about their schedule that they have right now? Is there anybody that is clear and intentional with the schedule that they have right now? Nobody. Well, I'm going to call on Christian here, and you're going to share. Thanks. Hold on one second, Christian. Um, all right, Christian, can you hear?
Yeah.
All right. So, based on that, how clear and intentional are your days, or do you have on your daily schedule? I guess today.
Yeah. You go back a week when I first got on spring break, it was very unintentional. But knowing that I'm starting class back up on Monday, um, I've gotten more into a groove of things. I've started waking up earlier, and I know what exactly my day will look like. So, for example, as of the last couple of days, I know I'm waking up at 8 a.m. First thing I do, get dressed and head downstairs because I learned the other day that because of this whole staying home thing, it's very tempting to stay in your PJs, stay in your sweatpants, whatever clothes you slept in, and just stay in that all day because no one's going to see you, no one's going to care. But I found that when you do that, if I sit down at my desk and I try and get work done, or I try and practice in my hallway or whatever it is, I just don't want to do it because I'm sitting in my PJs, I'm comfortable. I want to sit and watch TV, watch Netflix, whatever it is. But by getting dressed, heading downstairs, and starting my day like it's just a normal day at school, I get my brain in the right mode to, okay, today's is the same as every other day. Let's go ahead and attack it with the same intensity that you attack a tournament day, a practice day, a day you have a test or anything like that. So I'll go downstairs, eat breakfast, I'll come back upstairs, and then I'll get right to homework. And even though it's 11, 12 a.m., I'm hitting the books and I'm starting early. So I'll do my homework until it's done, really, or until I've reached that goal for that day. And then afterwards, I go ahead and do whatever I please, which I kind of name it as me time, but me time usually consists of practicing, playing golf, doing some research, things like that. So I'm kind of have the picture of I know what I'm going to do throughout the day. The time slots that they fit in are very, I guess, very subjective and up for grabs. But overall, I have that structure down. And I think as class gets closer and I spring back into term, it'll be more refined.
Cool. And then, so based on, like you said, you entered spring break a week ago,
Yeah.
and you're kind of in the PJ deal. How would you say it was different when you kind of were taking it as a vacation and
Mm-hmm.
reacting to the day? Like, what did those days look like?
Yeah. So I wouldn't set an alarm. I'd wake up whenever my body told me to wake up, and the first thing I would do is I'd grab my phone and lay in my bed for about an hour and a half on my phone and do absolutely nothing, but maybe watch YouTube, listen to a podcast, listen to music, and just sit and do nothing. And then I'd wake up and go downstairs and eat something between a lunch and a breakfast. I didn't know exactly what it was. I'd eat whatever was in the fridge and I thought looked good. And after that, I'd go upstairs, brush my teeth, wouldn't change out of my PJs, go back downstairs, turn on the TV, turn on Netflix, turn on Hulu, whatever it is, and just sit there until, let's be generous and say noon, until like 4 or 5 p.m. and just slouch in front of the TV and then realize that the day was gone. So I'd go upstairs and roll putts or hit balls in my room for 20, 30 minutes and then go back downstairs, eat dinner, and then watch more TV. And it was a well-needed break and recharge after a semester and a half at school, but it's time to change things.
Cool. And even on those days, you found time to just hit putts in your room and do some productive golf stuff.
Yeah.
Did you feel any difference in the productivity of your practice from a week ago when you kind of just reacted versus like now when you're waking up and being more intentional on the day?
Yeah, because back then it would be like, okay, if I really want to turn pro in golf and do all these things, I have to do the diligence and have the respect to myself and to my coaches and those who supported me to actually do something about my game. Whether it was sitting down in front of my computer and watching an interview with Golf Strategist, or watching a couple rounds of footage from the PGA Tour, or whether it was going down my hall and just rolling putts, the intention was good. It was, I need to get better. I need to do something to progress today, and definitely not do my best to not fall backwards, like you said. But it was kind of just going through the motions. Whereas today, I had a dedicated hour and a half long putting practice in my room, where I was like, okay, today we're going to be working on isolation of the head. We're going to be working on a steady lower body. We're going to be working on the arc of the stroke. How are you contacting the ball? And all these different things that if I were anywhere else, if I were at school, if I were outside, if I were home, it'd be something I'd be grinding on. But because I'm in my room, I still have to carry the same intensity.
That's awesome. That's perfect. And so everybody else on this call, you can see just having different intention with your day and how you know what you're going to do with your time allows you to enter that block of time with a totally different outcome that you leave with, because you enter more clear, you enter with the intention that you want to get out of it, and it's a lot more strategic in that block of time, as opposed to, let's just say a week ago you'd be hitting putts and maybe you'd be working on the same stuff, but you'd be lost in that moment. You'd be distracted more often. Whereas, if you plan it out, you gave yourself, like, from what I heard, you were doing like 30 minutes or so in the past, and now you kind of strategically built an hour and a half block to work on putting, right? And if we were to dive a little bit deeper in there, you probably could tell us, right, how you broke that hour and a half time down in the different activities and how much time you spend in each, right? So being able to get an audit and get a clarity and be able to audit your time and see where all the time is going, then gets you to work backwards and say, this is what I need to get out of today, right? This is what, like, we all have different goals and we want to get out to it. If you're starting to react in the situation that presents to us every day, then, like you said, we finish the day, it's like, oh my gosh, the day's over. If you ever finish the day and say, like, where'd the day go? That's like the number one trigger or sign that you need to be telling yourself that I don't know and I have not planned my day.
Yeah.
When you finish the day saying, like, oh my gosh, I got this done, I got that done, I got this done, and you kind of go down the list, like, I hit every single target that I had. Or maybe you say, like, I didn't hit these targets, but you're super clear on why you didn't hit them, which gives you a way to adjust and pivot for tomorrow. So today, if you weren't as productive or you didn't hit the goals that you wanted, you wouldn't repeat the same thing tomorrow. Does that kind of make sense? So I love it, and keep it up. Thanks, Christian, for sharing.
Yeah.
So super good. If you guys aren't yet aware of how your day looks like, then I strongly challenge you guys to figure out where your time is going in the day. Christian, for you can take it one step further. If you started, like, right now, you said you're not quite up to, like, the intensity where it would be like if you're in school, but you want to challenge yourself to, like, how do you level up your best intensity that you had while you were at school, right? So you're always growing, and you're looking at, and some of the ways you can do that is you might be thinking of, let's say we just broke down your hour and a half putting block that you did today. You would then transfer that into, like, I'm gonna work on hour and a half, and I'm gonna do, like, these 2, 3, 4, 5 activities for the day. But you would also do it, you'd work it backwards, and you would say, given the time that you have today and the availability of putting, where's your putting at currently? And where do you see yourself making the biggest strides in putting? Like, what exactly is that one key thing or two key things that makes your putting jump above any other performance that you had? Because then that would allow you to kind of work back and say, like, okay, I'm going to do this activity, this drill, and kind of funnel it down. But by the time you finish that block of time, you're going to know exactly, did I get closer to that ideal outcome that I wanted to get? Or Did I not make much leeway? Did I go backwards? And having that perspective at the end of each session that you have, whether you got closer to the end, and if you are not clear on like what's a successful practice for you, right? And have it outcome based, not time based, right? You have the time that you give yourself, but have it outcome based. How am I measuring that today's hour and a half practice is productive? Like, how do I know it was a 10 out of a 10? How do I know it was a 5 out of 10? Because if you don't know that, then taking an hour and a half of your time, although it's good, eventually you outgrow that strategy and you start spending an hour and a half in your room every single day. And then your putting no longer gets better because you don't have that. You'll hit a threshold and you won't know why it's not moving any further. So you can take all of these things and go as deep as you want, right? So in the beginning, if you're not yet knowing your day, just go ahead and figure out what you need, where your time's going for the day, and start being intentional about the blocks of time in your day. And that'll be, game changing. And we're getting kind of close here on time, but I do have one more thing I wanted to share with you guys. So, where am I here? Oh, there you go. So think about also, if you know what your days look like and you get the clarity of the entire picture, you can break down your days and know where your time's going. You also want to think about, how do you know that you won like your day? How do you know that, how do you know you're going to win the rest of this year, right? If you've never thought about that, that's like a big question that you need to have answered. You have to know, like, at the end of my season, at the end of this month, at the end of, the year, like how do I know I've won? Like, what metrics am I keeping to show me that this year was a success, right? And if you don't know that and you're just going through what you feel like is productive, but you moving and taking action and doing stuff, and you have nothing to base it against, then that's when you get into an entire season gone by and you're like, man, I worked extremely hard, but I thought I would have been further. I thought I would have made more leeway. I thought I would have gained more momentum this season. I thought I would have gained a ton more momentum this year after putting tremendous more effort in there. So, effort and time does not equal your results, right? They help with results, but you have to know where you're going, right? How do you know how to win the year when the entire year is unpredictable? Like where we're in right now, we don't even know what's going to happen in a week, in 2 weeks, right? But even if things are going perfect, right, we still don't know the uncertainty that the year brings, right? A year, 365 days, right? There's so much uncertainty that can come out, but how, like, you got to start thinking about the questions. How can I forecast 365 days and know I'm going to win the year and put all the pieces in place to ensure that, you win the year, right? So if you look at, tons of people play golf, right? Tons of people play lots of golf. Tons of people practice every single day, but not all of those people win golf tournaments. Not all of those people play college golf. Not all of those people make it on tour. Not all of those people play professionally, right? Yet they add tons of time, tons of effort, and they probably outwork a lot of their peers. I know I spent a lot of my time there in my junior golf career is outworking everybody, yet not getting the results that everybody else was getting, right? Where they would win, national tournaments or state tournaments, right? Play at high, like really good Division I schools. Getting, full ride scholarships, right? So, the time that you put in, there's tons of people that put tons of time in, tons of effort, and how do you be strategic with the time that you do put in so you're getting the results that you want? At the end is the most successful people in the world, they just lose less days than the rest of us, right? If you can bring it up to days, is if you just win more days and have more successful days than everybody else, right? That gets you to stand out and win the golf tournaments. That gets you to stand out and make it to the college of your dreams, right? Whether it's academics, right? If you get into the college of your dreams for academics, that tells you won more academic days than everybody else who applied to that school and didn't get in, right? If you make it on the PGA Tour, right? If you look at Tiger Woods, he has won more days than anybody else on tour. And that is why he's probably argued as the greatest golfer who ever played the game. All right, same with, Annika Sorenstam, right? From the ladies side, she has won more days successfully of how she designed it than anybody else who's ever played women's golf, right? So you just have to win more days than anybody else, right? Or just win more days in general, win more days than your previous self last year. If you win more days in 2020 than you did in 2019, then you've come further in 2020, right? Which gives you a baseline of what do I have to do in 2021 to become better than what I am this year, right? That's how you set your targets and goals. But to think of how am I going to win 365 days, that's probably overwhelming, right? Because how do you track so many days, right? Even if you cut it down in half and you go like one day over half, that's still 183 days that you have to win. And most of us will lose track of, if we're at 100 days that we won and we're keeping it on calendar, we'll kind of lose track of perspective of where it is in the year, right? So you have to break it down even further, which means you want to break them down into quarters. So now if I'm trying to win the year, I have to win more quarters in the year. So if we look at the quarters, we have 4 quarters in a year. How do you win the year? You have to win 3 out of 4 quarters. Because if you win 2, you're just breaking even, right? So now we're winning 3 out of 4 quarters. And I want you to think about now, we're just finishing the first quarter here, finishing up March. How much clarity, perspective, how much of your audit of your time and your success that you've been measuring up until now, end of the first quarter, can you say, did I win the first quarter, right? If you don't yet know that you won the first quarter, then you need to start adding some metrics in and you need to start measuring things a little bit deeper, because if you don't know if you won the first quarter right now that we're finishing up, then you probably did not win, right? Because we just don't know. And if you didn't win the first quarter, that means you need to win the next 3 quarters in order to win the year, right? So now it starts to bring in a little bit of accountability. So that's for everybody on this call. We're just about done with the first quarter. The way you're going to win this year is you need to now win quarter 2, quarter 3, and quarter 4, right? Think about academics in school. If you fail the first quarter, right, you have to change something to then pass the second quarter, right? And you can't keep on failing the quarters, otherwise you fail the year. So start to win quarters. But even when we look at quarters, right, that's still 120 days, which is difficult to track. So we need to go further down and break it into the months. So in order for us to win each quarter, you have to win 2 out of 3 months, right? So now we're starting to look at, if I can measure like just winning 2 out of the 3, right? We don't need perfect, right? We just need winning majority, right? 2 out of 3 months, definitely doable, right? But again, we're still measuring 120 days and trying to win, 60 out of 120 days to win the month. But that's still doable. And if you could win 2 out of 3 months, every single quarter, you come out winning the entire year, 100%. But winning still a handful. So we break it down even further by saying, how do we win the month? If we got to win 2 out of 3 months, I just got to win month number 1. How do I win month number 1, right? Then that means we have to win majority of 30 days, right? And again, when you have these big numbers, we get lost in the month. If you try and track every single day, by the end of the month, we'll oftentimes get lost, which then when we forecast it out for the year, it even gets us more overwhelmed. So definitely months are a lot more doable than the other ones, but think, I got to win the month. How to win the month? You have to win the week, right? Week is still 7 days. If you've gone through the last 7 days and then thought, did I win the last 7 days? And you don't remember what happened yesterday, right? We still get overwhelmed with just 7 days. So winning the weeks, right? You need to win 3 out of 4 weeks to win the month. And we're slowly breaking this down because finally, for you to win the week, you need to win the day, right? Days are the only thing we can track and keep ourselves accountable for. So knowing that we got to win the year, we first have to win the day. There's 7 days in a week. If we win the day, we need to win 4 out of the 7 days to win the week, right? So we don't have to have perfect weeks, right? We're going to have weeks that are a little bit off, but if we get ourselves consistently winning 4 out of 7 days, all of a sudden we win the entire year. And there's, so much upside on that, right? So that is the ultimate accountability, right? To know that today is Thursday. If you have not won Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and you're on Thursday right now, this is day number 4, you should be thinking, what can I do today to make sure I won today, right? And it's not about doing tasks and to-dos, it's about outcomes. What outcome do I need to have achieved today, at the end of today, to say, I've won the day, right? So think in terms of outcomes, not so much in terms of tasks and to do things. So the moment you lose the first 3 days, it puts tons of pressure or tons of accountability to say, like, I got to get my behind moving because I got to win the next 4 days, right? And even if you lost the first 4 days, you're still saying to yourself, how can I still win the next 3 to give myself the momentum into the next week so I can win next week? Because if you lose all 7 days, you'll have so little momentum moving into week number 2, right? So even if you lost all 6 days and we're on day number 7, you're still going to ask yourself, how can I win today so I can jump into next week, winning next week, right? So even if you can't win it, it's always the opportunity that you're looking at. How do I win more days? And that's how you do it, right? You win the day so you can win the week. You win the week so you can win the month. You win the month so you can win the quarter. You win the quarter so you can win the year. And as you win more years, your skills and your success and your fulfillment start to climb exponentially, right? And that's how you win years, right? So that right there is how you optimize your entire year, just by bringing it back to the day. And so you might be thinking, like, how do you know your day is successful, right? Everybody's a little bit different, right? If you are trying to make it on the PGA Tour, LPGA Tour, right, you're going to have different success markers than if I want to play college golf, or different success markers if I want to get into a really good college and play golf socially, or different success markers if I want to be able to play golf at a pretty good level where I can do it for the rest of my life healthy, or do it for business because I want to go into business, right? So you create your success markers that drive you to your assessment of you winning the day. But you do need to create your own daily win guide. So if you don't yet have like a tool or something that you're tracking, how did I win the day, right? It's not a feel. It's not a feel like, oh, I felt like I did good today. It's like, do I have on a piece of paper that I'm tracking, did I win today? This is my outcome that I wanted to get, right? It might be in your journal, right? You might have daily journals to say, like, your intention for the day. Every day you need to hit these outcomes to know if you've won the day, right? But you have to have these daily win guidelines to create for yourself, right? no matter what it is, it's finding these habits that no matter what happens, habits is what you need first, right? And right, it's not really about accomplishing like the exact thing that I have to do, but it's getting yourself in a mindset and creating a strategy for you to tell yourself, I'm going to do this, and then I do it. Because if you can condition yourself to say, no matter what happens, right? So, I would call it my no matter what habits, because no matter what life brings to me, these are the habits that I'm going to do no matter what, right? And that's one of my success markers for the day. Like for me, I do a morning journal and planner, right? Where I write my intentions in the morning and I plan out my entire day, right? That is like my habit no matter what happens, right? If I do it, that's a check mark. I did my morning intentions and journaling and I set my day. Another one that I do for my habits is 3 times a day, I would do like these strategic resets, right? For me, that's a little bit more, that's one of the number one thing that I need to do more of and keep myself accountable, because that's the one that I forget the most. Because I tend to, if I'm doing something at home, I'm working on my computer, I get lost in time. And even if I set alarms right now, I have to change my belief system that says like, I'm almost done, just give me 2 more minutes. Where the days that I hear my alarm go off every 50 minutes for me to stand up and kind of reset, I need to just do it, right? And I come back, because every day I do reset and have these 3 times a day strategic resets. I come back with, more energy, right? I find it that the next day from sitting down for so long, my back doesn't hurt as much, right? So it gives me health. So 3 daily resets, 3 times a day, right? A habit that I always have is 30 minutes when I wake up every morning. And again, this is not, you guys don't have to do what I'm doing. I'm just sharing like my habits for myself to keep myself accountable for, these are my no matter what habits, right? I drink a large glass of water within 30 minutes of waking up, and then I eat my breakfast within 30 minutes. So it doesn't matter if I wake up at 5 a.m. before 5:30, I'm going to have my tall glass of water and eat my breakfast. Or if I wake up at 10 a.m., within 30 minutes is a glass of water and eating. That's like my habit and my ritual that I always do. And finally, like my last one for me is no screens, meaning I don't look at my phone, I don't watch TV 1 hour before I go to bed, right? And the science behind that is just helps me sleep better, and it gets my mind to kind of close down, right? That would be another one where I tend to fall off on, right? So for me to see these are the habits that I want, it's super clear to me every single day. Like the things that come easy is my journaling and planning and my water and breakfast. The 3 things that I'm always like giving myself to get better at and win these mornings or win these days is going to be my resets and my no screens before bed. Sometimes I feel like I got to do so much and I just get tired and I fall asleep on my computer, right? Whereas I got to just give myself, right? So a strategy that I'm doing now is I have to give myself a very specific cutoff time, no matter if I finish what I needed to do and say at this time, right? I need to turn everything down, because from my daily planning, I know when I'm going to have to be up tomorrow. Because I know when I have to be up tomorrow, I know when I have to be to bed tonight, which gives me a specific time that I have to shut my computer and shut my TV off and not look at my phone before I go to bed, right? So those are the no matter what habits, because if you condition yourself to just do these things no matter the circumstances, right? You're conditioning your mind, you're conditioning yourself to not negotiate with yourself and saying, no matter what happens, I'm just going to do it, right? You're telling yourself to do it. Because how many times, since we all want to be the highest performing golfers, how many times do you give yourself the story that I don't feel like hitting balls today, but you have to, and then you give into that belief and say like, I'll just do it tomorrow, I'm a little bit tired. Or there's always a way to spin it. And if you're tired, it's like, maybe I can't hit balls today, but I still need to practice, right? Can I do something like what Christian shared earlier? Can I do something online that doesn't stress my body out? Swing, because my body's a little bit tired, where I can do some research and hear some interviews, watch some golf, and and stimulate my mind and get myself learning around the topic that I want to be in? Or maybe can I just putt and work on some really specific things putting, right? If you condition yourself to not negotiate and just say, I'm going to do this, and then you just do it, that skill by itself will transform every result you ever want if you always do exactly what you told yourself you're going to do, right? So think about how many things have we told ourselves, or have you told yourself over the last 7 days that you didn't do, right? So now imagine, and you, this would be an activity you can write down on a sheet of paper. Think of everything you possibly can think of over the last 7 days. And you said, I told myself I was going to do this, but I didn't do it. Write it down, right? You come up with this list over the last week. And then you say, well, if I did everything that I told myself that's on this list, how would this week have turned out differently, right? That gives you a little bit more perspective on seeing if you just do what you tell yourself you're gonna do, right? And be true and honest to yourself, and hold the integrity with yourself, the results that you already have, that's already built within you, will give you and take you so much further, right? Oftentimes we're looking for the swing fix, we're looking for the new drill, we're looking for the next technique, when all we have to do is just do what we tell ourselves we're gonna do, right? And get into that habit, because now when you do find the strategy, when you do find the tactic, then you're applying that habit of just doing what you're telling yourself to do with the new things that takes you to the next level. And that's how you go even faster. And so now if we're going with this last part, right, and measuring your day, those are just your daily, no matter what habits, but everybody wants to have better golf. So take that down to your golf and see, do you have an intentional scorecard for yourself in your golf skills? Am I, like, if I'm having these goals for golf that I want to accomplish every day, am I able to track whether I'm hitting these targets daily or if I'm not? Because if you see it every day, if you have these targets that you need to hit, skills that you need to develop to take you to the game that you want to get to, then if you're seeing it every single day and you're knowing, yes, I hit them, that means you're getting closer, right? Yes, I hit them, I'm getting closer. No, I did not. Then you're not getting closer, right? So it allows you to pivot and shift anytime you need. And it also makes you go faster, because if you start to hit them easier and easier, right? How do you go faster? You add more fuel to go faster. You make them a little bit more difficult, so they become slightly out of reach. So you have to push yourself and elevate your skills, right, to get you there faster, right? So again, like, these performance markers that you're doing, that you're measuring, should be always something that is like just out of your reach. So you have to like level up to hit them, right? You're never comfortable getting yourself to just show up and do them, right? So again, being honest with yourself, what do I have to actually work on? What do I have to stretch myself? What do I have to push myself to hit these little targets? Because if I just show up and go through the motions, 100%, I'm not going to hit them. And that way, you're having to show up every single time. So definitely create your no matter what habits and your intentional performance habits that are measured daily. I do want to get one more person on this one before we close the evening out. So I'm going to get, let's see. Blake, are you available?
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Blake. Hold on one second. I don't know how come I can't. There you go. All right, Blake. Thank you for joining us this evening. So What do you have? So can you share with us right now, what do you have in place now that you are currently measuring that will measuring daily that will compound into you winning the year?
I don't exactly understand the question.
So what are, like, at the end of the day, what success markers are you measuring yourself against to make sure that at the end of tonight you say, oh, today, Thursday, was a winning day?
Probably if I finished everything I've needed to get done, such as like homework or a specific goal. That's kind of vague, but it's mostly homework.
Okay. And so you have, so mostly homework, that if you finish your homework, then you've won the day.
If I finish everything on time without it being, say, 1 o'clock in the morning, that's a win for me.
Okay. And what would you have to do to make sure that it's always before 1 o'clock?
Stay on top of it instead of, say, coming home and getting on my phone, just go straight to homework because I'm a big procrastinator. And so just stay on top of it.
Okay, cool. So stay on top of it, right? And again, so sometimes we use some language that allows us to stay and validate us being procrastinating. So if we label ourselves as, you know, if I'm just procrastinating, it kind of makes us feel like it's okay. And then we move on to tomorrow and hope that we get on top of it earlier. So if you know, like, so these are some of the anticipations that you can start to build into, like, how do I know you won your day, right? So some of your, like, no matter what habits could be, at the end of the day, how many times did I say I'm gonna wait and go on my phone, right? You can measure that and go to your phone instead of just do your work, right? So you might have something that take in any kind of distractions. So you would measure distractions. How many times did I give into distractions today? And that would be a way for you to measure, like, especially in that no matter what habits, right? You don't have to be perfect, but let's say you had 10 distractions today. You need to make sure that you win more than half of those distraction battles, right? And every day, if you're measuring that, that takes you to another level, because the more you win those distraction battles, the more times and the more often you'll finish before 1 a.m. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
Right. And if you can finish before 1 a.m., right, it opens up more opportunity and more time spots for you to do the things that you want to do, right? It can open up times for you to develop and practice your golf game. It could open up times that you design in there for the distractions, right? For not distractions, but for the entertainment aspect of your life, right? Going on your phone, watching TV, right? If you got everything done and it opened up blocks of time for you because, you know, you want it early on and got it done earlier, then you can start to plan in, oh, I'll have this block of time, I'll have an hour for your me time or your entertainment time, right? So you're starting to, you know, be a little bit more disciplined on the front end, but you're going to find that you have more available space on the back end, right? Once you start winning these battles and once you start building in these disciplines, the beginning might feel a little bit more difficult because it's new, but as you start to win these things, you'll have more time on the back end for your entertainment, for your golf, for whatever it is that is going to fulfill you for the week or for the day. In addition, I know, you know, a lot of us are working on school stuff, but if we were to look at, like, your golf, right? And for you to hit, your success markers in golf, right? Let's say when you get back on the golf course for the first time, do you have anything in place that you have daily, performance metrics that is telling you whether you're getting closer to the ideal and perfect game that you want once you return?
I'm not sure.
Okay, it's okay, right? So there's tons of, even aspects in all of our lives that, we don't have. It's so easy to keep it perfect on a piece of paper and to give you like perfect scenarios from different components of our lives, but like we never have perfect lives, right? We never have where everything is mapped out perfectly. That's what makes it so interesting and so exciting at the same time, because we're always working for making ourselves better. And in the areas that we want to achieve success, in the areas that we want to hit the goals that we want, right? Just, it's just be truthful and honest with yourself and say, at this time I don't have any, right? Because around school it sounds like you're super disciplined, right? Even though you may at times have to work till 1 a.m, you know exactly what gets you to finish at 1. It allows you to know exactly what gets you to finish at 1 a.m. and what you have to do to not be done at 1 a.m, get time back, right? And so we're taking those little principles and just applying those into, like, let's say you have a target that you want to get to in your golf game, right? You want to see, and you want to see your golf game reach a certain level the next time you step on the golf course, the next time you go hit a golf ball, right? It's starting to plan that in of what can I do every single day that allows me to see if I'm getting any closer to it, right? Maybe it might not be blocking in like Christian, where he blocks in an hour and a half a day putting in his room, right? Maybe we don't have that availability in the lifestyle that we have, but maybe we have 15 minutes that we can block off in a very specific part of the day, or maybe 2 blocks of 15 minutes at a specific part of the days, right? Especially in those blocks that you open up, knowing that your distractions come in and you can add those times back in, right? So you don't have to so you can still measure yourself and know that, did I do what I needed to do? And in these 15-minute blocks, you can then create, like, this is the outcome that I need to accomplish, right? Maybe it's a skills challenge, maybe it's an intention that you set, maybe it's a drill that you're doing to get you closer to the outcome. So, given the time, the resources that you have, you can always create something that fits where you're at and be the most productive around that. So, start asking, like, we all need to start asking ourselves, just the questions is like, how can I make this year bulletproof to make sure I get all the goals that I wanted to achieve. I end this year exactly where I was meant to end this year. Does that make sense?
Yep.
But Blake, thank you for sharing, and fantastic job with your academics and knowing where you stand there, and having things that specifically that gives you the win in that space, right? So those are the things that you want to take and do more of the things that you're doing successfully, right? And then we know some of the things that are holding you back, right? And those are the things that, it's not just holding you back in academics, they're holding you back on in all the different areas that you want to enjoy in your life as well. So giving into those distractions, right, would be like one of those things that you want to remove more of, so then you can plan and add more of that time back in for yourself. So thank you again for sharing there, Blake. All right, everybody. Well, thank you guys so much for joining this evening. I really enjoyed our time tonight, and you know, we are here for all of you, and we want to let you know we're always thinking of you guys and everybody who comes on here. And you guys all take care, and we'll see you guys all soon. Have a great night.